Alright, today's lesson is about the area of regular polygons. Make sure you're taking notes, pause it whenever you guys need to. Make sure you're just following along as we go. First thing we need to make sure we have a refresher on is what does it mean to be a regular polygon? And a regular polygon has all the sides and angles that are congruent to each other. Make sure you remember that. All the angles, all the sides are congruent. Next thing you have to look at is what an apothem is. So what an apothem is, it's a segment from the center of the polygon that makes a perpendicular line to the side of the polygon. So line segment. So if you look over down at the picture there, the A, that side right there that goes from the center down to the middle of the side of the polygon is the apothem. Right now would be a good time to pause the video to make sure you can write down all this information and sketch a diagram of that picture. Next, let's look at how you actually find the area of a regular polygon. And how you do that is you take the area equals 1/2 times the perimeter of the polygon times the apothem of the polygon. So what that P stands for, that's the perimeter of the polygon. And the A stands for the apothem of the polygon. Make sure you pause and write that down if you need to. Alright, let's now look at the steps that you're going to need in order to find the area of the polygon. So that's really what we're doing is we're finding the missing pieces. So if we don't have the apothem, how do we find that? If we don't have the length of a side, how do we find that? If we don't have the perimeter, how do we find that? The first step you're going to want to do is you want to find the measure of the central angle. Then you're going to take that and you're going to divide it by 2. We'll do some examples here in a second. You might want to pause right now to write that down. The second step, you're going to draw the apothem and label the small triangle with X, A, and R. Kind of like what we just had before. Again, we'll do an example in a second. You might want to pause the video right here to write that down in your notes. Third step, you're going to pull out the right triangle and use the Pythagorean's theorem or sine, cosine, or tangent to find the length of the apothem or the length of the side you need in order to find the perimeter. From there, you guys should all know how to find a perimeter if you're missing the length of the side. And the apothem, you guys will find that using Pythagorean's theorem or the trig identities. Alright, now let's do some examples of how to find the actual area. So, remember our formula to find the area is area equals apothem times perimeter divided by 2. Well, let's look over at the picture that we have. We're given the apothem. The apothem is 8, so we know that A equals 8. We can find the perimeter pretty easily here. We have an 8-sided shape. We have 6.6 as one of our sides, and all the sides are going to be the same because we are talking about regular polygons. So to find the perimeter, all we have to do is perimeter equals 6.6 times 8, which will get us 52.8. And now all we have to do is bring our pieces and plug them in. So our area equals our apothem, which is 8, times our perimeter, which is 52.8, divided by 2. And you can go plug that into your calculator to get yourself the area equals 211.2 inches squared. Now that's a pretty straightforward, pretty quick problem. They're not going to all be so straightforward and quick as that one. If that one went too fast, go ahead and pause it, rewind it, rewatch it again. Let's go on to the next step here without being given directly the apothem or maybe not given a side length. So in this one, you can notice we are given the side length, but we're not given the apothem. So the first thing I always like to do is I'm going to get the easy part out of the way. I'm going to find my perimeter. Well, our perimeter is going to equal that 10 times the amount of sides that we have, and we have 6 sides in this shape. So it's going to be 10 times 6, which is going to equal 60 inches. Now let's go find our apothem. So first thing you're going to want to do is draw a triangle to the center of that shape. Now notice how many triangles can I make in this shape here that are all congruent. I can make 6 of those. We also know that if I start at one point and I go all the way around to another point, how many degrees total have I traveled? Well, it's a total of 360 degrees. So each one of those triangles in that central angle is going to be 360 degrees divided by the 6 triangles that are there. So if we look at this, we do 360 divided by 6, and what do we get? Each one of those angles equals 60 degrees. That's kind of hard to see, but let's move that over. Really, that's still not our apothem. Remember, our apothem comes down directly to the center there. Really what we found is we found double the apothem there, so we know that that angle is going to be 30 degrees. All we have to do is divide it by 2. So I'm going to take my triangle over here. I know that this is 30 degrees. This is a right angle. Well, that makes that a 60-degree angle. We know that our side on the bottom is actually going to be 5 because it's going to be half of that full side. And now I actually have a special right triangle. We could use Pythagorean theorem, but we have a special right triangle. So let's remember our rules for it. If we have a 30 to 60, 90-degree triangle, the side across from the 30 is going to be 5. The side across from the 60 is going to be 5 square roots of 3, which that's our apothem. I don't care about the hypotenuse. We don't need that. So our apothem is going to equal 5 square roots of 3. So now to find our actual area, we're going to take our apothem, 5 square roots of 3, times our perimeter, which is 60, times that, divide by 2. Now to get our exact answer, we're going to get our area equals 150 square roots of 3. So if I want an exact answer, that's what you would put. The approximate answer, now we'll just plug it into our calculator. And when we plug it into our calculator, we get that our area equals about 259 and 807 thousandths inches squared. And there's our area. Now that one you could have used Pythagorean theorem if you don't remember your special right triangles. Or sorry, you wouldn't have to be able to use Pythagorean theorem. You have to use trig to be able to do it. But we know our special right triangle, so we're going to go and do it pretty quickly. Well, let's look at this one. This one we're given, we don't even have the apothem or a side length. We're given a side of the triangle. That doesn't really help us much. But let's go ahead and let's fill in the rest of this so we can find the pieces. We know we can do that. And how many sides are in this shape? There are 10 pieces if you guys didn't count it enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then each of these whole angles is going to be 360 divided by 10, which is 36 degrees. Which means when I go and I make my right triangle that's going to be half of that piece, so it's going to be this part right there, my angle measure is going to be 18 degrees. This is going to be right. My side is going to be 12. Now we need to use our trig to find our other pieces, to find our y, which is our apothem, and our x, which is half of our side length. That's half the side length. So now I'm going to go quick just to save on time, but if you guys need to pause, rewind, re-listen, make sure you do that and get this all in your notes. I'm going to start with finding my apothem. So I know apothem here is going to be my adjacent side over my hypotenuse, which is going to be the cosine of 18 equals my adjacent y over 12, which means really that y equals 12 times the cosine of 18. Plug that into your calculator. Plug it in and you should get y is about 11.413. And there's our apothem. So this is really our apothem. Okay, now let's go and let's find our x, which is really half of our side length. So x, we're going to use opposite over hypotenuse, so sine of 18 equals x over 12, which really means we're going to do that x equals 12 times the sine of 18. Plug that into the calculators and you'll get x is about 3 and 708 thousandths. Now that's not actually our side length. What we need to do to find our side length is multiply that by 2. So we're going to take that value and times it by 2. which will get us about 7.416. But that's still not our full answer to that part because we need to take this up to find our perimeter. We're going to multiply by the number of sides. So 7.416 times 10, which is our number of sides, which will get us our perimeter, which equals 74 and 16/100ths. All of that work, now we can actually go plug it in to find our area. Remember, our area is going to equal our apothem, which is 11.413, times our perimeter, which is 74.16, divided by 2. Which, I'll scroll up a little bit here, makes our area about 423.194, and our label is going to be feet squared. And that's the last example. You should be able to find the area of any of regular polygons that I give you. Make sure you let me know if you have any questions, and make sure you rewatch the video if you did not understand anything.